So the first thing we want to do is we want to draw the arm down towards the anatomical position so it's sitting as it should be if someone was standing or closer to. Go find the spine of the scapula. From here, you want to track laterally to find the edge of the acromion. From here, draw a straight line over towards the centre of the spine and find the spinous process, C7, T1. Any of those will suffice, providing it's roughly in line. From here, and this is why it's important that you need to be on the lateral aspect, you're going to find about halfway on this line. From here, you're going to move to the highest point in line with that midpoint, and then roll your fingers back across the fibres, like you're plucking a guitar string. Avoid pressing in to identify the tenderness, because if you do that, you can get confirmation bias because you're pressing the muscle down onto a rib. So you're not getting a true representation of tightness or tenderness. When you draw back across here, because there's no ribs under here, if you find the tightness, it's more related to how the muscle's presenting rather than just your compression in that position. So then what we're going to do, from here, we found that halfway position, we come to the top here. Now what we need to do is identify where the collateral risk is, because we found our target. The collateral risk is the ribs. So what I'm going to do in this position is if I look behind the earlobe at the mastoid process, place my fingers on the mastoid process, I'll drop down here to the transverse process, and then if I just walk my fingers down the transverse process, we will move down, and what will happen is I'll find the first rib. As my finger starts to move lateral, because I'm pointing in here medial at the moment, and if I stay in contact with the transverse process, what's going to happen is my fingers are going to roll onto the rib. Because C7 is going to lead me to T1, T1 is going to give me the rib. The rib is much more angled than you expect it to be, which is why it's not so evident. So once I've found that rib, I can track that rib down and I'll see that it's disappearing. The first rib only comes over sort of laterally to the medial border of the scapula, and it's dropping anteriorly very rapidly, and it's taking the apex and lungs with it. If there's no ribs, there's no lungs. So then I identified where the collateral risk is. So if we go back to our point here, and I can walk down here and I find the rib, I know where the collateral risk is, I know where my target is. I can take hold of this tissue and I don't grab this like this, because if you grab here and you needle, you're going to end up needling these fibres, and these were the fibres we palpated. If we grab this, we just get adipose tissue, so I'm gently going to approximate the tissue between my fingers, line the needle up here, then I'm going to insert it from the back and take it towards my finger. If, however, I want to needle more medially over here, then this technique is not sufficient. What we need to do is then angle that needle much more laterally. So here we can be PA, but as we move medial, if we think about this is our direction of our needle towards the finger, as you move medially, continue with that same direction towards the finger, so your angle goes more lateral. See how that works? What it doesn't do is that. And this is the mistake that people make. That's their technique. Then they execute that. Now, if I do that, I don't feel a rib underneath my fingers. I think that's fine. But if I walk down here, that rib is actually above that needle. But you don't feel it if you grab the tissue and pull up. You don't feel the rib, but the rib is still there. So that's where the risk comes in. People grabbing, thinking there's no rib, putting that needle in, and eventually getting into that intercostal space from there.
So this relates quite closely to